Welcome to Thinner Peas and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. Today is episode number 179. I really want to talk to you about the burden and the weight that you are carrying. Stay tuned. Hi, everybody. How are you today? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I've got a special guest on for you again. I know I've been having so many of my clients on, but they're all so amazing. I need to share them with you. So this client that I'm going to share with you today, her name is Stephanie, and she is really special and really an inspiration because I'll tell you what, when she first hired me, she was not a happy camper. That's all I have to say. And we spent many sessions in tears. And so I think this is really special because what she wants to share with you is on her journey is that she really believes that if she can do this, so can you. And in this podcast, it's not near as much about losing the weight because she's really just beginning to lose all her weight. But really what she's going to share with you is what she had to lose first before she could ever lose the weight. And I got to tell you, this is very, very important for you to hear. So enjoy my interview with Stephanie, and I'll pop back on in the end and say a few things. Well, hello, Stephanie, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Dr. Deb.
I know it's so much fun to have you on this end because it wasn't that long ago that you were with all the other listeners who are listening to this.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And, yeah. And there's so many things that I want to talk to you about. But one of the things that I think is most important about you is how our sessions have changed you, because it really isn't just about the weight, and especially for you. So I guess the best way to start is if you can just tell me, like, what made you decide to set up a mini session with me?
So I started listening to your podcast and I loved everything I was hearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I was really, I felt drawn in and I felt like it really resonated with me. And when I heard about your free, mini session, I was really drawn to do it because, I thought to myself, well, is this enough for me? Do I need to go a little deeper with this? And I thought, well, it doesn't hurt to have the mini session. So, we had our phone call and I knew right away, having had that phone call with you, that I wanted to work with you.
Why?
I already kind of knew it before I talked to you, but once I spoke to you, I was like, yeah, this is because you do so much for people on the podcast for free. And I think there are probably all kinds of people out there, I'm sure of it, that are getting everything they need from the podcast, which is an amazing service that you do for people. And I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
But I feel like, there are some of us that need a little bit more. And I definitely felt I was one of those people. Mm-hmm. And so once I spoke to you, it just, I knew it in my gut that this is what I needed to do.
Can you tell people a little bit about your struggle? You mind sharing that? And, we don't need to go into everything, but I just think it's nice to have just a little bit of a background of where you've been and then where you are now.
Sure. No, I don't mind at all. I'm 54 and I started having weight problems in my 30s when I was diagnosed with endometriosis and I was put on a very heavy dose of birth control pills to stop my periods completely. Mm-hmm. And I went from not having a weight problem at all and having really horrible eating habits.
Yeah.
But nobody, I was thin, so nobody said boo. And I just continued on my merry way.
That's right. You didn't think you had a problem either, right? Because you didn't have a weight problem, even though you were eating junky food.
100%. And by the way, as a side note, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. And I think about it sometimes because I think, if I had never got to the point where I was gaining weight, would I just still be eating all that terrible food? I was just a fast food junkie and, carb girl and whatever. So I don't know, but that's another story. But definitely, when I started gaining weight, I had no skill set whatsoever. And I started going and doing the Weight Watchers type stuff. And at the time, I discovered, hey, I actually really like exercise. And so I worked out a lot, and I was kind of, boot camp girl. And I was always trying to outrun my fork. And I still was just not disciplined when it came to food. So it was just, I'd lose it, I'd gain it, I'd lose it, I'd gain it. And I had some issues come up with my kids. My youngest was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when he was 3, and he almost died in the ER. And our lives, it's like a bomb went off, and our lives got very stressful. And I ended up with a lot of adrenal issues because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to the point where, because my adrenals were in such bad shape, and if I had kept going the way I was going, I was sliding into Addison's disease. So I was really far down. I couldn't exercise my way out of anything anymore. And that's when I had to get really real with the food.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And so what was the turning point for you, like for you to decide that you didn't need another diet?
Because it wasn't working. It just wasn't. I mean, I'd lose weight, and because I, didn't have as strong energy as I wanted. And side note, I thought it was still connected all to adrenal issues, but put a pin in that, because
yes,
when we talk more.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So I just, I would lose weight. I was on Weight Watchers, and I think it's a good program, but I would lose weight, and then something would happen, because something always does.
Yes.
And I just didn't have any reserves, like energy reserves and everything would just go out the window. And I mean, as you know, Dr. Deb, when I reached out to you, I was at my lowest point with all this stuff. I really felt for the first time, and I'm a very optimistic, hopeful person. I just felt like, I'm never going to get past this. That's
what I remember about you, is when we had that phone call, is that you felt so hopeless, and you were doubtful about really wanting to spend that kind of money on yourself. This is what I remember, because after that mini session, you ended up writing me a long letter. Do you remember this?
I don't.
I got to tell you about this. And I want everybody to hear this, because this happens sometimes, like when you do a mini session, because you remember is just going, okay, this woman is the right person for me. But what I remember is a long letter telling me why you can't do this. Because you felt so little hope, and you had so much stress, and your cortisol levels were so low that you didn't have the energy. You just didn't think that you could do this. And we had another phone call. I said, I'm calling you back. We're going to have a discussion.
Oh, that's right.
Do you remember this now?
Now I do. Yes.
I don't do that very often. Usually if somebody doesn't want to do it, fine. But with you, I really wanted to talk to you, because I knew when I talked to you, I knew how much you thought this could help you, and that you were in your own way. I wish I had the letter to read to people, because it was, this is why I can't do it. This is why.
Wow.
Yes.
I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? The things we forget. But I like to remind you of this, because I want you to really see how far you've come. And that when we had that conversation, the second conversation, there were a lot of tears from you.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't sure if you were going to do it or not, but I knew that if you decided to pay that money, if I got that PayPal, I knew you were going to be all in. I knew it.
Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah. And that was a big hurdle. Yeah,
it was a huge hurdle for you. And it's a huge hurdle for a lot of people when they spend that money. Right? Because there's all kinds of, you had a lot of doubts, a whole letter filled with them. Yeah. And so I think about you now, and I think of how all in you are on yourself, and how much more confidence you have in yourself. And how much more hopeful you feel. And the other thing about you, and I'm going to let you talk, but I'm just, all this stuff is coming back to me. One of the things is that you believed because of all the things that had happened into your life, like when you were talking about your son, not that I thought that that was a happy incident, but you just believed that because so many things had happened to you in your life, that's why you gained all that weight,
Yes.
because of the stress.
Yes.
And that when we were starting to have our sessions, usually our conversations always started with the stressful thing that happened today
Yes.
and how you would call it another bomb went off today.
Yes. Yes.
And that's when I started
Yes.
teaching you the model.
Yes. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I'm starting this with Dr. Deb at a time where things are particularly crazy in my
Right.
life right now. My oldest had gone off to college, and we had so much going on that
You
was,
always have so much going on is the point of this conversation.
yeah. But this, I remember thinking, wow, this is like boy, did I pick a crazy time to, and it was the holidays and my birthday. Remember, we discussed all of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now tell us, because when you started that call, I mean, when we started our calls, you were desperate. You believed that your body was turning against you. You believed that there was no hope to have energy. Where are you now?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, a few pounds lost. I think it was maybe 5 pounds. It wasn't much. I had a conversation with you and I said, Dr. Deb, if I never lost another pound, which would really bum me out, but if I never, but if I never lost another pound, I would continue on this protocol because of the way I feel. I mean, it was just, it's been a huge change and so eye opening. And so just that alone, I mean, the energy level, the the way my body feels. I mean, I could go on and on and on. It's so different. I had aches and pains I don't have anymore. I had lots of stiffness in my ankles and my feet, and it was like I had trouble with mobility. And when I would go, like if we go to a restaurant and everything is fine, and I'd sit and we'd eat, and then by the time I got up to leave, because I'd gotten, my body had cooled off or whatever. When I would get up from the table, I was like an 80-year-old woman. It
Mm.
was really embarrassing. I was so embarrassed. And I just couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I did start taking supplements that help, but they didn't really help. It wasn't until I started doing the no flour, no sugar with you that that changed dramatically. I used to have migraines. I don't have migraines anymore. The energy level that I went from blaming on adrenal issues.
That's right. You were blaming everything on I mean, not that you didn't have a cortisol issue, you did,
Mm-hmm.
right? That
Mm-hmm.
was the
I did.
circumstance, right?
Right.
But you made it everything. And then all of a sudden you start changing what you put in your mouth. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens?
It all of a sudden I'm like, and I remember when I first started feeling more energy, I'm like, am I, is this going to last? Like, is this real? Is this just a good day? Because sometimes I would have like a good day and I'd be so excited and I'd do like tons of stuff and I'd do overdo it because it was hard because I didn't have a lot of energy. And then I'd end up not in such a great place like the next day. So I was really like, I tried to be very judicious with how I spent this energy because I didn't know how much I had and how long it was going to last. And pretty soon I got to the point where I started exercising more and I was looking forward to the exercise. And I was like, okay, well, today I'm going to go 35 minutes and see how I do. Well, today I'm going to do 40. And, just over the weeks, I've just added little by little. And now I'm like, it's fine. I can work out on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, and it's all good.
Uh-huh. And so your energy has changed a lot. Yes.
Dramatically.
And when you go to see your doctor, your blood chemistry is starting to change too, isn't it?
Yes, because I'm one of those people that,
What kind of
I mean,
people are you, Stephanie?
I'm unfortunate. My mother was very thin her whole life, as my sister and my dad. Actually, none of them had weight problems, but we all have high cholesterol. And no matter what my parents did, they just couldn't bring down their cholesterol. Well, my dad and my sister are both on cholesterol meds, and I have high cholesterol as well. And I tried taking them, and I had really bad side effects. So I went to a naturopath, and she said, "Well, I'm going to be able to work on this with you." with other means and methods, and we've been working on it. But it wasn't until I went on the no flour, no sugar that I started to see the changes. And my triglycerides have just plummeted. I have gone in from a danger zone to almost normal in just, the weeks that I've been on this diet.
That is just amazing. And tell me about this diet that you're on.
Oh, was I mad?
Tell me about how, when we started no flour and no sugar, tell me how you reacted to that. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
I was mad as a hatter about it.
Why?
I didn't want to do it.
Why?
Because I wanted my carbs. I wanted my croutons and my bread, my pasta. I'm half Italian.
Your bread, your pasta. I love the way you say it. My bread, my
bread,
pasta.
Mine, pasta.
It's all mine. Okay, so
you're taking my pasta from me.
Yes. And you okay, so why did you decide to do it? Because you don't have to do no flour, no sugar, right? But we did it kind of later on. And why did you decide to even try it?
Well, first of all, by the time we got to that point, we had gone through so much emotional work.
Say something about that. We don't want to get a lot into it, but I mean, we seriously, the first program that we did together was basically all emotional burden and baggage that you started releasing, which is why you said, even if I don't lose another pound, I am so thrilled.
Yes.
Say absolutely. A little bit about that. Let's not get into the whole thing because we don't want to. But I mean, for some people, I think it's really important. One of the reasons that I wanted to have you on here is that you have not lost as much weight as you want to lose in the end. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yet I think that you're happier than as if you had lost all that weight. And I want you to just say something about that and then how the no sugar, no flour came into that.
That is such a true statement. And I think because when you are concentrating on losing weight, you're concentrating on a number on a scale or whatever your measurement is. And that is the driver of, I'm happy today, I'm sad today, I went up a pound, I went down a pound, whatever it is. And that's kind of the driver of the bus. The way I feel about used to be, exactly, in that mindset.
Yes.
But having worked with you, having unpacked all that baggage.
Talk about unpacking baggage. I just really want to say that again, is that when people come into this program, they are bringing so much baggage that has nothing to do with the food that's going in their mouth, or has everything to do with the food that's going in their mouth. But and you had so much, I really think, and when I say baggage, burdens that you've been carrying for so many years. And it's like every session was like taking a burden off of your shoulders and throwing it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, like you said, every session was tears.
It was. A lot of crying going on.
A lot of crying. And, it's weird because, like you say, this isn't therapy. We're going to work through in a life coach, sort of way. And that is what it was.
Sort of way. Yes. We did it in a life coach sort of way. We got rid of one burden after another and just threw it out.
But the way you do things, you cut through the crap is what it really boils down to. You just say, hey, boom, this, I'd like you to think about this. I'd like you to look at this. And it's just very powerful. And in a way, I know it's not technically therapy, but it's kind of like, it's like speed therapy. Like you just cut through it and just say, this is what I want you to concentrate on or think about until we talk next time. And it was amazing. It was so enlightening. We did spend all that time on that baggage, and I had so many tears and I felt so hopeless. And it was so connected to so many emotions for me. My weight was connected to so many things that we discussed, that really, when I got to the end of my first round with you of sessions, I had only lost a few pounds, but I was now in a place that I needed. There was no diet or exercise plan on the planet that was going to get me where I needed to be without having done that work.
Oh, so, and I couldn't agree with you more, which is why you're on this phone call with me, is for people to understand that point is that the weight that you're carrying on your body is a lot of emotional weight.
Yes. Yes.
And you are so much lighter. I mean, just talking to you, you are so much. I don't think we haven't really had that much. I mean, not that I don't mind. You can cry all you want, but it's almost like, I mean, that doesn't happen very much anymore.
Mm-mm.
And the strength, I mean, for you, first of all, what I want to say is that you did all the work, right? No matter how upset you were or whatever, you always did your food journals. You always did the homework that I gave you. You always gave it your all.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do that?
I trusted you. I didn't in the beginning trust myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I trusted you. And so that's where I put my energies into, what we were doing, what you were asking me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just knew this is what I am putting my trust in this person because I really, really believe, even though I have so much self-doubt.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about this a little bit, but I got like halfway through those first sessions and I said to you, Dr. Deb, I think you're amazing. I listened to your podcast. These people have come so far. It's so inspiring to hear them. But I got to tell you, Dr. Deb, it's just not going to happen for me. I just know it is. And I had so much self-doubt. I just didn't believe I could
remember
ever
that.
do this. Yeah.
That's why that's another beautiful reason why you're on the podcast, right? Because when you would listen to other people, you believe that couldn't be you.
I did.
And here you are.
And here I am. And if you had told me, well, you did tell me.
I think I did tell you.
You did. That I was going to be in this place.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, man, I'm going to be like her, her failure, her like crash test dummy that didn't survive or whatever. Like, I'm not going to get where these other people get. Like I said, I'm such a hopeful person. I'm such an optimistic person. And I was just in the darkest place of not believing in myself at all. Mm-hmm. But at least I was willing to trust in you.
I know, but this is what I'm going to turn around for you, is that at least you could trust yourself enough to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I really believe, is that you trusted yourself enough to trust me.
That's true.
And I want you to see that, because anytime you turn the tables and give it to me, it's really not helpful. And Stephanie, you did all of the work. You had your own back. You taught yourself. You showed yourself that you had your own back, because even when you didn't want to do what I told you to do, you did it anyway.
I did.
Right? And so why did you do all that?
Well, I am that type of person that
Thank you.
once I commit, I do it. I'm all in, and I did it.
I know. And that's really the truth, is that once I commit, I'm all in. And that's what you did. And that's what anybody has to do is, yes, you can have self-doubt, right? You had it. You had plenty of it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But you decided to commit and go all in and trust yourself, that you trusted me.
Yeah.
Were you right? Were you correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You were absolutely right.
Yes. I was right. And I cannot say enough about how this program with you was transformative in ways that have nothing to do with weight. And I'm excited to get to a natural weight. I know I will get there. And I was talking about how the scale used to be, driving the bus for me.
Driving the bus.
Yeah, that's not what drives that doesn't drive the bus anymore.
Oh, what drives the bus, Stephanie?
So what drives the bus now is I know this protocol works for me on so many levels, in so many ways. And so I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, and the weight's going to come off. I don't have any doubts about that.
Well, that sounds like a person that used to have a lot of doubt about herself that now has a lot of confidence in herself.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place to be, isn't it?
It really is. And I know you get a little irritated with me when I thank you, but thank you so much, Dr. Deb. Because I know I did the work, but boy, oh boy, I am so grateful that you put this out there for people. And sorry, now I am going to cry a little
Go
bit.
ahead. You can cry.
You put this out there for people, and so many of them can access what they need for free. And that's beautiful too. And I wish for everybody to get to the place that they want to be and where they need to be in their life, on their journey, in whatever the way they need to do it. And for me, I wanted to work with you, and it has been life-changing, truly. This transforms your life in different ways you don't think about. You think it's all about weight, but when you've done this program and you look back, it's about so many other things, about your health. It's about how you feel. It's your confidence in yourself. It's learning how to master your mind and your thoughts, and that permeates everything. I mean, you can apply this to any part of your life that you want to make changes in. And the model can be used in so many different ways, and it's just very powerful stuff.
Well, all I can say is you are one powerful woman, and you have proven yourself to be that way.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I loved every minute of working with you.
Oh, Dr. Deb, I can't say I loved every minute because it was painful.
Now, don't go scaring people.
Well, it was my pain that I needed to look at. But you're firm, but you're kind. You are incredibly kind and empathetic. And I mean, you're not going to put up with a bunch of whiny BS, but at the same time, you just create that. I was so vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And that vulnerability is so hard, as everybody knows. It is very hard to be vulnerable. And I was more vulnerable with you than I probably have ever been with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, laid out my most, difficult situations, and you handled it with care and with kindness and with firmness. And it was just the perfect balance of a little tough love. And nobody should be afraid of it. If you're really willing and you're ready to hear the messages that you need to hear and do the work that you need to do, whatever that is, because I'm sure every human being is different and unique. And I'm sure every time you coach someone, it's unique. And so just because I cried for 6 sessions or whatever it was, doesn't mean, who knows what people need to experience. But, I was very vulnerable, and I felt very safe with you. So nobody needs to be afraid.
Beautiful. What would you say to somebody out there who is wanting to schedule a mini session, but they're afraid of having to pay a lot of money to do it?
Well, the mini session is helpful even if you don't end up continuing on with Dr. Deb. Mm-hmm. So just that alone, you have nothing to lose because she doesn't charge you for it. If you do decide to spend the money and do the work, I just feel like if I can get where I am at, and I just want everybody who is doubting themselves and considering doing this, honestly, if I can get where I am at now, you can. Because I was in a very, very dark and sad and hopeless place. So if you have the resources, and I'm like probably most of the people listening, I mean, I had to budget for it. I had to take money out of other areas. I had to, watch how I was spending my money and so on and so forth to put it, and I have a husband who's very supportive of it. So I'm very lucky in that sense as well. But
why did you decide to put that money into you?
I just knew that I had to take this chance. I had to do this for myself. I spent all these years being a mom and a wife, which of course I still am, but, emphasis there. And I'm in menopause now. And I'm going to be 55 pretty soon, in like a month and a half. And it was my time. I just really felt like if I don't do this physically alone, I mean, forget about the emotional baggage, just physically alone, I didn't feel good. So I really felt like it was time for me to invest in me. And honestly, if you think about, I mean, for me, I had physical ailments. If you look at medically what you would pay to get better, or if you're sick, or, doctor bills or whatever, I mean, this is such an investment in your health. If you put aside everything else, like your mental health and your happiness and feeling, the word I would say is, I can't really say one word, but relief. The relief that I feel is so, you say I sound lighter. I am so much lighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So.
Was it worth it?
100%.
Beautiful. Stephanie, thank you for coming on today. I love you.
I love you, Dr. Deb. You are the best. Thank you so much.
Did I pay you to do this?
No, you didn't. You didn't. But I know.
I know.
You are
I'm
worth
joking.
every penny and then some.
Thank you, sweetheart.
I have no regrets. I have no regrets for anything, and I would do it again. And thank you so much for what you've given me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, all I have to say about Stephanie is that she's got a lot of nice things to say. But what I want to say about her, and what I think is just so important, is that she was trying to give me the credit. And I will tell you what, the work involved in working with me is a lot of work. And she, as miserable as she was, and as sad and depressed as she was in the beginning, did not get in the way of her doing everything that I asked her to do. And when she said that she trusted me, and I said it in the podcast too, really, she trusted herself to hire me. And it all went from there. And that's probably the hardest thing for most of you to do, is to trust yourself enough to do something like this for yourself. So if you think I trust her, what I want you to think is, and I trust me to trust her. And then Stephanie is proof of how that can work out. She really is an amazing client. She is so inspiring how she has managed her mind. And this is available to you too. So if this is something that you're interested in, please go to drdebbutler.com/work with me. And you can fill out an application for a mini session to find out if I might be the right coach for you too. And as always, before I end this podcast, you know what I'm going to say. No matter what else you do, please, 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 please be very, very, very kind to yourself. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed this podcast with my wife, Dr. Deborah. I've enjoyed working with her and living with her. That's right, we work and live together for 40 years, more than 40 years. It's amazing how time flies. And it's been like a little tree growing in the yard, and now it's a big tree, our love. So I would like to invite you to correspond with Dr. Deborah. Go to iTunes, drdebbutler.com/iTunes, and you can review the show, and you can even give some helpful suggestions on what you would like to talk about in the future to accomplish your mindfulness and your journey into mindfulness. Thank you.